Hi, Dan.
Nice to meet you.
First off, how would you like me to call you? Dan, Daniel?
Dan's fine.
Dan's
I usually
fine.
go by Dan.
Hi, Dan. My name is Omega,
Nice to meet you.
and I understand that you were seeing one of my former colleagues, but
Yes.
because of circumstances beyond her control, she was unable to see you, so she referred you to me. And I just want to first go over a few things, and you can correct me. I was informed that you were once in rehab,
Yes.
and while you were in rehab, you were being supported by family members and your girlfriend at the time. And then when you came home, you found out that your girlfriend was seeing another guy.
Yes.
And because of that, and dealing with all of that, you came in for a therapy session.
Correct.
Okay, so let me start out with how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling good. It's still on my mind. I'm just really trying to figure this all out. I went over to Teresa, kind of like the story that got me there. I got into rehab and we had this great relationship going. There's a little mistrust in the relationship because
Okay.
he thought I was sneaking around with other girls, but I was really sneaking around with drugs. And so I was being sketchy. So I kind of asked for that kind of behavior from her part. But when she found out it was drugs and I got help, we kind of came to the conclusion that she would stick with me, that we were going to stay together, but I had to go to California for a while to get my act together.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through that rehab program, and I came out, and you weren't allowed to call anyone or anything like that, so I haven't contacted her in a month. And I got on the phone, and she seemed fine and all good and dandy, and then I logged on to Facebook, and she tagged me in pictures so I could see them of her with other guys in this nightclub, dancing and kissing them, and it sent me off my rocker. I was like, are you, like, I completely was like, how can you do that to me? And all my trust went out the window, like, what is going on if you're telling me one thing and then I log on to Facebook and maliciously putting pictures up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was right after Thanksgiving, and I had to stay at least another 2 months in California.
Right.
And all I wanted to do was run back to New Jersey,
Okay.
and go get her. So it was a real battle within myself to whether to stay and get myself better or worry about her and all that. And I kind of just was like, okay, let's get through California, and I'll go back home, and I'll make this all better.
Okay, now when exactly did this take place? Was it recently?
This is like 6 months ago.
Oh, so you're just really coming out of rehab and...
I went back into rehab.
You went
after
back?
this.
You
Yes.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
because of the whole situation, because of, Christmas happened.
You had a relapse?
Yes, I had a relapse.
Okay.
Christmas happened, I was fine. My family came out to California. We had a great dinner and all that. And around January, I started talking to her again.
Mm-hmm.
And you're kind of making things work. And we were, she's like, okay, you're going to be home in a month, and, we'll work things out, and da-da-da-da-da. So I got all, like, my hope back. Like, I was like, okay, something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was, like, 2 weeks into there that she was like 2 weeks from there, she was like, you know what, I don't really know if we should get back together, and she started,
Treating you differently?
yeah, treating me differently. Something was weird.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, she's probably seeing another person, and I kind of just lost it at that point, and I relapsed.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to understand. Let me go back. You went to rehab. You found out while you were in rehab the first time that she, so to speak, cheated on you. It was all on Facebook. You got very angry. Did you get through the rehab process from that, and then you came home?
I went through the whole entire rehab out in California, and then I
Mhm.
went into an intensive outpatient from the same rehab
Okay.
in California. I was
In
staying in
California.
sober
Oh,
living,
okay.
and then the next month I was just going to live in sober living without the
Okay.
intensive outpatient. So it was like 3 months of like,
Intensive.
yeah,
And it
so
was in
someone
California, right?
supervising me.
And while you were there doing the supervisionary status of your rehab process and counseling and all of that you were going through, your family and all were communicating with you, but you were dealing with the issues of your girlfriend.
Yes.
Were you broke up then? Had y'all broken up, or was the
Yeah,
relationship
well, I
was
mean,
over during
we-
that time?
Yeah, we broke up after I found out she was hooking up with other guys.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, I love this girl, so
Okay.
it's
I was
like
just
I
gonna ask
like we were planning on getting married. You know, like I was picking out her ring. I have her name tattooed on my back. Like, yeah, like I was crazy for this girl, like absolutely nuts, and so it hurt me. Like I was like, you know, it shattered my whole future plan.
Okay.
Like when we broke up. So, and being addicted to drugs and kind of, you know, messing up school and all that, it was like my whole future just was like flattened, and I didn't know where I was going from there, and I didn't know what life was going to be like without using drugs or partying. You know, I was only 21 years old, so how are you going to
Okay.
tell me I'm not going to party for the rest of my life?
Okay.
You know, I was dealing with all those emotions.
And you said you have her name tattooed on your back.
Yeah.
Have you had the tattoo removed?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No, I'm going to get it covered up.
You're gonna get it covered up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Has that thought of having that on your back brought up some emotions, like when you go to get dressed, shower,
I always
and
know
things?
it's there.
You know it's there.
I always know it's there, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, going to date other girls, and you have some other person's name tattooed on your back.
Right.
It's weird, and yeah, it was a stupid idea to get her name tattooed on my back.
Well,
But, you know, I was
I-
head over heels for her at the
I
time.
wouldn't say that it was stupid. You know, you were in love. You felt that this woman, young lady, was going to be your wife, that you were going to spend the rest of your life together. Life circumstances, the circumstances that you went through dealing with drugs and things, you know, you can't say that it was a stupid idea. I wouldn't say that, because you were in love at the time. But now, what I need to know is, how are you coping with your pain?
Well, I went into coping. The story kind of evolves because I relapsed real bad.
Mhm.
I started doing
I see.
methamphetamines at that point, and I was wasting away. I mean, I was about 95 pounds by February. And
Of this year?
yes.
Okay.
So, 95 pounds, and I came home for court. I had court for some lawsuit that I had like a little painting business, and this guy beat me for money, so I was suing him. And so I had to come home for that court case. And I came home, and she was waiting for me at my house. I wasn't planning on seeing her, but she made the effort to come over to my house. But I looked like a train wreck. Like I went from 150 pounds to 95 pounds, and my parents,
Okay.
everyone knew I was not doing
Right.
well. I was lying to them that I was doing fine, but and I decided at that point when I relapsed and she wasn't trying to get back together with me, I was just going to live in California because I was like, I don't want to be near anyone that loves me. So, but when I came home, she was there waiting for me, and
Was this the second time you came
no,
home?
when I
The
came
first-
home
the
for court,
for
yeah,
court.
for court, and I was only there for 3 days, and you know, we had sex, and it rekindled all those feelings, and then like at the end of like us having sex, she told me that she's with this other guy. Like,
So it just
and I'm
made,
like,
like-
what are you doing? Are you kidding me? Like, you're messing with my head like too much, and I was like, get out of my house, and I was back on a plane in California a day after that. So I went back, and I was gone. I ended up, you know, getting kicked out of my apartment. I was living in an abandoned hotel. I was homeless, like completely out of my mind. And then I got in a fight with police in this whole brawl, and I got thrown into jail and thrown into another rehab after that. And
that was your second time around.
yes.
So basically, the first time you went out there was in 6 months ago.
It was from the end of October, and now this is April. April, May.
April, May.
Yeah.
So you just went. I'm just, keeping everything in line. You went from rehab. From rehab, you came home. You had to deal with her emotionally again, which let you down again, which caused you to relapse. And you relapsed into a stronger drug, which caused you to not take care of yourself. And in essence, you lost everything from your apartment, your job, and all. And then you went back to California.
No, I stayed in California.
Oh, you were
the whole
staying
time.
in
I just
California.
came back to New Jersey for that 3
court
days.
date. So
and
she
then back.
came out there?
No, I just saw her in New Jersey when I came back.
When you came back to 3
Yeah.
days. And because you got intimate, it brought up all of those feelings.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
everything,
she's here
and
for
then-
me, and like maybe I'll just stay in New Jersey,
Right.
and I'll kind of clean up my act and get over this. And,
And she hit you.
And then she was like, no, I'm seeing this other guy. And then it was like, me feeling worthless, and I'm like, how am I ever going to compete with this guy? I'm like, I shouldn't even have to compete with some other guy for your love. Like, so I was, I just got angry, and I mean, angry, like losing, like punching holes in the walls, like you're like out of my mind, and plus methamphetamines made me crazy as it is.
Right.
And so I was just turned into like an animal monster after that, and so I was angry, and I relapsed and lost everything, and I went into the next rehab, and
that one was in California too?
yeah,
Okay.
and then I log on to Facebook, and at this point I haven't talked to her in like two and a half months, and she starts talking to me on Facebook, asking me, is everything okay? She heard that I got in this huge fight with the cops. I mean, I had stitches, I got tasered and everything, so I think my mom told her. She was still talking to my mom in New Jersey, which I didn't know this, but she was hanging out with my parents.
Yeah.
So.
I don't mean to cut you
Go ahead.
but she was hanging out with your parents. How did that make you feel?
Well, I was like, why would you hang out with my parents when, like, you're doing this to me? And then on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, she still wants to be with me. She still loves me. Which is like two conflicting thoughts and very twisted. So I was just confused. I'm like, who are you, and what are you trying to do, and why are you mind fucking me? That's that's kind of how I felt.
I understand.
And like you're completely, messing me up. And so she starts talking to me on Facebook in rehab, because at this rehab you could go on the computer and everything.
Okay.
So she starts talking to me on Facebook and asking me if I'm okay and this and that, and can't wait till I come home, because now I was going back to New Jersey. I was going to get my, everything together. This is the last time I'm going to rehab. And so she starts texting me, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call. The guy tells me I have a phone call, so I go pick up the phone at the rehab, like it was during the afternoon, and it's her boyfriend on the other side of the line, which I, like, telling me that he's going to kick my ass and, like, all this stuff because I'm talking to Shanae. So he was sitting there on the computer with her while she's messaging me. And I'm like, are you... Like,
so, basically, you have gone through a lot of emotional issues behind this young lady. And the question, I understand that you were in love with her. And, it can be difficult when your heart is involved in a relationship. And it's difficult when when you really, really love and care about somebody, and you find out that they don't feel the same way. Do you find that you are beating yourself up for a lot of things that you're allowed to take place?
I don't know if I'm beating myself up about it. I just wish I could go back. You know what I mean? And like make it work. I just wish we could make it work somehow. And it didn't have to be somewhat like mistrust in it, and like what she feels like she needs to get back at me for. I feel like she feels like needs to get back at me for all the stuff that I put her through, and that's why she's being like malicious with like the way she's going about these things.
You feel it's a
and
tit
I'm
for
like,
tat?
No, I'm not trying to, maybe in her mind, but,
Okay.
I'd let it go, because I'm like,
Okay.
okay, maybe I deserve that, you know what I
Okay.
mean? And I was like, okay, well, you got me, so let's go from here.
But
And now
mhm.
she's like trying to talk to me again and make it like all right, and I'm like, and I want it to work, but I don't think it's a good idea. I don't.
Well, I
And now I'm
mean,
just.
being really, when you sit back and think about it, and you think about the emotional roller coaster that you've been on with her, and your relapse, and trying to maintain your sobriety, and try to maintain your sanity, would it be feasible for you to even want to have that type of relationship? Because you can't speak for someone else, but you can speak for yourself. And if you've seen that someone has shown you their real self, in essence, with her being with other guys, talking to you, and then boyfriend calling, it's different things that have been done to you that has been more harmful than healing. So that, you really need to look at the fact of what would she bring to your table. Intimacy is intimacy, sex is sex, but on a mental and supportive status, what exactly would she bring to you?
Well, when she was like my girlfriend, she really was a great girlfriend. She was like the type of girlfriend that I like. When I was up in college, she would like surprise, come up there without me knowing, and I would like walk in my room after class, and there'd be like, candles and like, Chinese food like all ready for us to sit, and like we used to have these great nights where like we always wanted to go to Aruba on vacation. So she like came to my school and she set up like Aruba in my dorm room. We had like Bob Marley playing and Coronas, and like we'd just sit there and lay in bed and pretend we were on the beach. Like just cute, intimate, like
she did things
loving
that,
things.
right.
Like, and that's why I love her so much, because we're both goofy, so we could both like just clown around and do fun things, and we always, go with the flow and just kind of go on day trips randomly, and I love that. And I've tried dating other people, but no one's like that. You know what I mean? Like, we'd match up real well. Like, when we're not fighting and all this stuff, we're great together. Like, we really are great together. And she knows it too. I think she just doesn't trust me anymore. And, I'm like, well, because of all that baggage that we have, I don't know if it'll ever go back to the way it was. But every time, like, we live in a small town, so I bump into her all the time. And I see her walking by, and, like, all those feelings come back. You know what I mean? Like,
But it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it has not been that long. Y'all, 6 months? Your relationship ended, and during that time, she's been with several other men, if I'm not mistaken. One guy, and then, you have to allow yourself to heal. You have to allow yourself to deal with you. Because right now, your emotions, your feelings, and everything, the main focus now is you. You being able to understand what you want out of life, where you want to head, setting your standards and taking it one day at a time.
So I have to separate myself from
in a way, when the situation is so difficult that it will cause you to possibly relapse again, in your sobriety and in your steps and everything they teach you, that you have to step away from the things that caused you to do the drugs, that caused you to be depressed, that caused you to bring harm to yourself. Right. And if it meant you stepping away from that young lady, then that's what you would have to do. And that's where difficulty would come in for you, because you love her so much. Yeah. So, and then once you realize that, where your key points are, once you realize and understand that this is something that I have to do, first, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Because what I hear from you is that you're going back. You're constantly going back and you're blaming yourself for this and you're blaming yourself for that. And the reason why she's like this is because I did this and she doesn't trust me. Yeah, you know, and you're blaming yourself for all that went on. But under the same token, forgive yourself. That's something that you have learned in rehab, is to forgive yourself.
So I should hold her like, to a higher standard. I should.
You should hold yourself to a higher standard, not her. Hold yourself. Because right now, the only person that you would need to deal with is Dan. If Dan isn't straight with Dan, if Dan can't function, if Dan can't go out here and live his life, then are you understanding? You know, you really, really have to look at Dan. You have to look and see your emotions, your heart, your feelings, and live your life. This young lady may not be a part of your life. That's a part of your journey that you've dealt with in the past. But it should not hold you hostage for your future. It should not hold you hostage today. It shouldn't hold you in a place where you can't forgive yourself. And have you ever asked her to forgive you? Have y'all had that conversation?
Yeah, and she says she forgives me.
Okay.
So,
and
but we don't go past, I don't know. Maybe she just doesn't want to be together anymore. I don't know.
okay,
Yeah.
and the thing is, you want that. And if she doesn't want that, then you need to allow yourself to just get over that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you will, you know, I don't like using the word get over, but allow yourself to move forward from that relationship, really. Because we all have, you know, think about high school. You know, you dated this girl in high school, and you thought that was going to be your sweetheart, and y'all going to do, and then it didn't work out, you broke up, and you moved on, and you might have dated somebody else. Your heart was still involved. This young lady, y'all had a wonderful relationship in the beginning, but there was a weakness that took over it. You got help from that, but she may not have been strong enough to be by your side through all of it.
Right.
And she probably just wanted to live her life. You can't think,
I don't blame her for that at all. No, I don't.
And
it's her giving me hope that there's gonna be like a future with us, and then like a hammer comes and whacks me in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean?
right, and I understand that hammer.
Yeah. So
okay,
I just
understand your hammer.
At this point, I just don't like hope.
You don't like hope?
Yeah.
Hope, okay.
Hope for that.
Hope for that, at least, because hope is one of the terms that you learned while in rehab to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And are you taking care of yourself?
I am. I'm doing
Have
very
you
well.
gained weight? Are you eating
Yeah.
well? Are you doing well?
I'm going to the gym and going back to school now.
Okay.
So,
You're
in
doing
terms of personal, I'm good. You know, I'm you know, taking care of myself. I'm moving in the right direction, and the cravings have started to cease, and you know, I'm starting to think clear. Like my endorphins are starting to come back. And
okay.
so I'm doing well on
You're
that
taking
end.
it one step
So
at a time.
yeah, so I tell myself, you know, just more time with myself and
Right.
try to deal with that.
That's the healing process. Because a lot of times you can't move forward in any even if that relationship isn't it, until you get right with Dan, you won't be able to go into another relationship because you have to be grounded in yourself.
Right.
You have to be able to look in the mirror and love that person that you see wholeheartedly.
You can't love anyone if you don't love yourself.
And you have to forgive yourself. You know, you had a moment in your life where there was a situation and, you know, and that situation took you through a lot of emotions, up and down, feelings. It caused you to hit rock bottom. But there is not a, you know, I tell people when you feel you hit rock bottom,
You can always dig
you
deeper.
can, you know, come back up. You can come back up. You just got to want it and desire it. And I see in your sincerity and the looking in your eyes that you want it and you desire to live. And because you desire to live and desire to better yourself and keep yourself focused, you're back in school, you're doing very positive things. The relationship side, it comes. You just have to allow yourself to heal from that young lady.
Yes.
And don't allow her to keep coming in and putting you on that emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because
she controls
that's
my
a
emotions,
trigger.
and
Yeah.
that's not good.
And that's a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of your triggers. You need to be aware of the fact that her coming around is one of the triggers that messes with your emotions. And it's an emotion that can either be detriment to you or you can make it good. But being that you've always got the hammer, you know, the hammer's coming in. I don't care. Since we've been talking, all I've heard was in the beginning it was beautiful. It was simply wonderful. And that's what made you fall in love. But as
I'm holding on
time
to
went
that.
on, you know, and what you're holding on to is your past.
Yeah.
And your past with her has changed. Because now your future is not the same as far as she is concerned. And because of that, that's where you have to make a difference in how your thought process is in dealing with your emotions and accepting the fact that you will always love her.
Mm-hmm.
Not, you know, I would never tell you not to love her because that was a very important part of your life back then, prior to you doing drugs and relapsing and everything. That was a beautiful part of your life. So it brings you joy and smile. I saw that when you talked about how y'all did things and she did, it brought a joy to you. So we tend to, when you're going through a trauma or different situations, you tend to go back and grab those good things.
Fantasize it.
And you fantasize and you hold on to that. And sometimes that can have you in a stagnant place where you can't move forward.
Right.
So you have to allow yourself to know that that was then. Now you're working on now.
She's almost like another drug for me.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to, if you feel that way. And
So it's the same thing. You romanticize about the good times.
Right.
And beat up by the cops.
Right. So, you know, you have to allow yourself to understand where she is and know the triggers that she play in your life. And once you start working on your triggers that she's playing in your life, you'll find that you'll be able to start saying, okay, no, I can't let this take me to this place. I can't go to this place of depression. I can't go to this place of this because of, you know, the love we used to have. That word used to, you know, I tell people sometimes that word used to, it's in the past. You can't change your past, but you're living in the present and you can work on your future. So what I need you to do is just take time out, even now, just close your eyes and take a deep breath. Now release it. And do it one more time. Now release. Now think about Dan. Think about what Dan wants to do in your life from this day forward. Don't worry about how good it was in the past, how bad it was in the past. Think about today, your present day, and what you are doing that's keeping you focused, that's putting a smile on your face, that's making your heart smile. Think about that. Think about how you are as an individual. You're making successes. You're going to school. You're doing different things in your life. You're clean. You're dealing with sobriety. One step, one day at a time. Now take another deep breath and open your eyes.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you next week.